Thought we'd always have tomorrow. I never knew tomorrow would run out. We used to talk for hours, dreaming underneath the stars, never thinking there would come a day when we'd forget who we are. You were the light beside me, the calm inside the storm, the one place in this world that always felt like home. But little by little, something began to change. The love that slipped away didn't leave all at once. It faded through the silence, one moment at a time. The love that slipped away was standing in my hands, but I didn't realize how fragile it had become. We stopped saying what we felt, stopped listening like before, and every little distance became a little more. I thought there'd be another chance, another day to try, but some things disappear before you say goodbye. The saddest kind of loss is the one you never saw coming. The love that slipped away like sand between my fingers. The harder that I held on, the less it seemed to stay. The love that slipped away and left me here alone, trying to understand how something beautiful was gone. If I could relive those moments, I'd treasure every word you said. I'd hold you a little longer and never leave things left unsaid. The time won't turn around for me, and memories can't change the truth. Sometimes the greatest heartbreak is realizing what you lost too late. I kept looking for a way back to a place that no longer existed. The love that slipped away will always live inside my heart, not because it lasted forever, but because it changed who I am. The love that slipped away, though it hurts to let it go, I'll always be grateful that I once got to know that love. I thought we'd always have tomorrow. I never knew tomorrow would run out. I should've let go long ago, but I kept holding on. Your picture stayed beside me long after you had left. I kept reading old messages, trying to feel what I once felt. The world kept moving forward, but I stayed behind somehow, living in the memory of us instead of facing now. My heart knew the truth, but I wasn't ready to hear it. I held on to what was gone, to a love that wasn't there, holding empty promises like they were still hanging in the air. I held on to what was gone, long after the goodbye, trying to save a fading flame that had already lost its light. Every song became a reminder, every place spoke your name. I convinced myself that somehow things would never change, but memories aren't a future, and hope can't stop the years. No matter how tightly I held on, you slowly disappeared. The hardest thing about loss is accepting it's already happened. I held on to what was gone, one memory at a time, one dream left unfinished, one piece of you left behind. I held on to what was gone until I couldn't breathe, because loving what no longer exists can bring you to your knees. Maybe I wasn't missing you, maybe I was missing who we were, the version of us I carried like a beautiful blur. And maybe healing starts when I stop chasing yesterday and learn that some people leave even when we beg them to stay. I kept reaching for your shadow while the sunlight moved on without me. I held on to what was gone, but I'm finally letting go, learning that love can end without erasing what it meant. I held on to what was gone, and though it broke my heart apart, the memories will always stay, even if you don't. I should've let go long ago, but I kept holding on, and now I'm learning how to finally say goodbye. I didn't lose you all at once. By the end, you were already a memory. You still walked beside me, still spoke my name out loud, but something felt so distant, like a storm behind a cloud. I kept holding conversations with the person you used to be, not realizing the one I loved was slowly leaving me. I felt it in the quiet moments, the spaces growing in between. You were already a memory before you said goodbye. of the way we used to feel, for traces of forever that no longer felt real. The laughter sounded softer, the warmth began to fade, and every promise we once held became a shadow we couldn't save. The hardest part wasn't losing you, it was watching you disappear. You were already a memory, one silence at a time, one misconnection, one dream left behind. You were already a memory, long before you walked away, and somehow my heart knew it, even when I begged you to stay. Maybe we both felt the distance, maybe we were scared to let go, holding on to the idea of us when we already knew. And maybe that's why it hurts so much, why the tears still fall tonight, because I was mourning someone who hadn't fully left my life. I kept reaching for your hand, but I was holding on to yesterday. You were already a memory, but I'll always carry your name, not because I couldn't move on, but because you helped shape who I became. You were already a memory, and now I finally understand. Some people leave your heart slowly before they leave your hands. I didn't lose you all at once. By the end, you were already a memory. And maybe that's why goodbye felt familiar when it came. We didn't break in a single night. We lost each other slowly. There was no final argument, no slam door, no goodbye. Just little changes between us that neither of us could deny. The way you looked beyond me, the way it had my pain. We kept pretending nothing changed while standing in the rain. I think we both could feel it, but neither of us knew what to say. We lost each other slowly, one silence at a time, one missed conversation, one dream left behind. We lost each other slowly, like colors fading from the sky. And by the time we saw the truth, we'd already said goodbye. I remember how we laughed, how we talked until the dawn. Now the words felt heavier and the feeling wasn't strong. I searched your eyes for answers, for something I still knew. But every day I saw less of us and less of you. The hardest kind of heartbreak is watching love disappear. We lost each other slowly without meaning to let go, holding on to memories of people we used to know. We lost each other slowly, and it still hurts today, because no one really left. We just slowly drifted away. Maybe love isn't always shattered. Maybe sometimes it quietly fades, like a photograph forgotten or sunlight slipping away. And maybe we weren't failures. Maybe we simply changed. Two hearts moving different directions on roads that couldn't stay the same. I kept hoping we'd find our way back. We were already too far apart. We lost each other slowly, but I'll always remember the light, the way you made the ordinary days feel beautiful and bright. We lost each other slowly, yet a part of me will always see the version of us that once believed we'd be forever, you and me. We didn't break in a single night. We lost each other slowly, and somehow that made it hurt even more. If I had known that was our last summer, I would have held on a little longer. We talked about forever like it was already ours, counting all the years ahead beneath the city lights and stars. We never questioned where we were going, never thought we'd lose our way. We were too busy making memories to notice love beginning to fade. The future felt so certain until it wasn't anymore. It was the ending we didn't see, hidden inside the days we loved, buried beneath the laughter, the dreams we were dreaming of. It was the ending we didn't see, slowly writing its own goodbye, while we were busy believing forever was still alive. The photographs still tell the story of two hearts full of hope, smiling at a future neither one of us would know. Looking back, I see the moments, the little cracks we missed, the silence growing louder in the spaces where we'd kissed. Sometimes the end begins quietly, long before anyone knows. It was the ending we didn't see, one distance at a time, one feeling left unspoken, one change we left behind. It was the ending we didn't see, though the signs were always there. We just never thought the ending I still visit those old memories just to hear your voice again. It was the ending we didn't see, but I'll always cherish what we had. The beautiful beginning, even if the ending made me sad. It was the ending we didn't see, yet a part of me still believes somewhere in another lifetime we found the forever we dreamed. If I had known that was our last summer, I would have held on a little longer. But none of us ever see the ending until it's already gone. I told myself love was worth fighting for, but I forgot I was fighting alone. I kept making excuses for the things you didn't do, convincing myself tomorrow would bring me back to you. I waited through the silence, through every distant stare, holding on to hope when hope was barely there. I gave you all my patience, I gave you all my heart. I stayed until it hurt too much, until the tears outweighed the love, until every lonely night became something I couldn't rise above. I stayed until it hurt too much, long after I should have gone, trying to save a story that had already moved on. I watched myself disappear, trying to keep us alive, giving more and more of me, just so we could survive. But love shouldn't feel like drowning, it shouldn't leave you begging to be seen. And somewhere in the middle of the pain, I remembered who I'd been. The hardest goodbye wasn't leaving you, it was letting go of who I became. I stayed until it hurt too much, one heartbreak at a time, one broken promise For the first time in a long time, I'm choosing myself. I stayed until it hurt too much, but I won't stay there anymore. The pain that once held me down won't define me like before. I stayed until it hurt too much, and though goodbye broke my heart, walking away was the moment I finally began to heal. I told myself love was worth fighting for, but love was never meant to hurt this much. And finally I let go. I kept waiting for an explanation, but silence was all you left behind. The coffee cup was still there, your jacket on the chair. Nothing looked different that morning, yet somehow you weren't there. No note upon the table, no message on my phone, just 1,000 unanswered questions echoing through our home. I replay every moment, searching for what I missed. You walked away without a word, without a reason why. Left me standing in the wreckage of a love that couldn't survive. You walked away without a word, and I'm still trying to understand how someone who once held my heart could let go of my hand. I thought we shared the same future, the same dreams, the same road, but somewhere deep inside you, a different story must have grown. Now every room feels colder, every memory feels strange, because the hardest part of losing you is never knowing what changed. Goodbye would have hurt enough, but silence hurt even more. You walked away without a word, leaving shadows where you stood, leaving me to wonder forever if there was something I could have done. You walked away without a word, and the questions never end, because some wounds don't come from losing love, they come from never knowing when. Maybe you were hurting too, maybe you didn't know what to say. Maybe leaving quietly felt easier than explaining why you walked away. But healing gets harder when there are no final pages to read, just an unfinished story and a heart still learning how to grieve. I wasn't asking you to stay, I just wish you had told me why. You walked away without a word, but I'm learning to let go. Not because I understand it, but because I have to move forward. You walked away kept waiting for an explanation, but silence was all you left behind. And somehow that became my answer. We spent so much time looking ahead. We forgot to hold on to what was right in front of us. I remember the way we'd laugh, like the world could never change. The little things that made us happy now feel so far away. We used to find forever in the simplest moments shared, but somewhere along the journey we stopped noticing they were there. It wasn't one mistake, it was 1,000 little moments we let slip away. We forgot what we had while chasing what came next. We let the days grow ordinary and left our hearts unchecked. We forgot what we had, the magic in our hands, and by the time we looked back, we couldn't understand. Conversations got shorter, the distance slowly grew. Not because we stopped loving, but because we stopped breaking through. We got lost inside routines, inside worries and demands, and forgot that love survives when two hearts still reach for each other's hands. Sometimes love doesn't disappear, sometimes it gets buried beneath everything else. We forgot what we had, one day at a time, one missed chance to listen, one feeling left behind. We forgot what we had, and now the silence tells the truth. The saddest part of losing us is knowing we once knew. If I could return to those moments, I'd slow the whole world down. I'd hold you closer in the chaos instead of letting us drown. Because now I understand what I couldn't see back then. The rarest kind of love is the one you don't appreciate until the end. We were holding something beautiful, and neither of us realized how fragile it was. We forgot what we had, but I'll never forget your name. The way you made ordinary days feel anything but the same. We forgot what we had, yet I'll always be grateful too. 'Cause even though we lost our way, I once found my heart in you. We spent so much time looking ahead. We forgot to hold on to what was right in front of us. And by the time we remembered, it was already gone. were sitting right beside each other, but somehow we had never felt so far apart. The room was filled with silence, though your voice was still around. We shared the same four walls, yet something couldn't be found. Your hand would touch my shoulder, but it didn't feel the same. Like we were actors in a story, forgetting our own names. It wasn't the space between us, it was the space within. The distance that grew inside wasn't measured by the miles. It was hidden in the quiet, in the fading of our smiles. The distance that grew inside slowly pulled our hearts apart. And before we ever said goodbye, it had already made its mark. We stopped sharing our secrets, stopped asking how we'd been. The little things we once noticed became things we couldn't see again. I kept searching for the feeling that used to come so naturally, but every day felt further away from who we used to be. The saddest kind of drifting happens when nobody leaves. The distance that grew inside, one silence at a time, one misconnection, one dream left behind. The distance that grew inside until love could barely breathe, and neither one of us knew how to stop what we couldn't see. Maybe we were both hurting, maybe we were both afraid, watching the light grow dimmer, but pretending it would stay. And now I understand that love doesn't always break in two. Sometimes it simply fades away before either heart knows what to do. I kept reaching for you, but you were already somewhere I couldn't follow. The distance that grew inside still echoes through my mind, a reminder that love needs tending, or it can leave itself behind. The distance that grew inside may have taken us apart, but I'll always remember the days when there was no distance in your heart. We were sitting right beside each other, but somehow we had never felt so far apart. And that's how I knew we were already losing each other. I held on with everything I had, but some people aren't meant to stay. I memorized your laughter, the way you'd say my name. I thought if I loved you enough, nothing would ever change. I gave you all my patience, every piece of my heart, never believing we'd become two worlds drifting apart. I kept reaching for your hand while you were already letting go. I couldn't keep you close, no matter how hard I tried. You slipped through my fingers like the tide. I couldn't keep you close, though I gave you all of me. And that's the hardest lesson. Love can't make someone stay willingly. I noticed the distance growing, the silence in your eyes, the way our conversations turned into brief goodbyes. I kept hoping for tomorrow, for the version of us I knew, but every step I took toward you only made me lose more of you. Sometimes the heart knows the ending before the mind can understand. I couldn't keep you close, one memory at a time, one fading promise, one dream left behind. I couldn't keep you close, even when I gave my best, because some goodbyes began long before they're ever said. For so long I blamed myself, wondering what I did wrong, but now I see that love can't survive when only one heart holds on. And maybe letting go isn't failure, maybe it's finally seeing the truth that some people are chapters, not the whole story of you. I stopped chasing your shadow and started finding my own light. I couldn't keep you close, but I can carry what we were, the beautiful moments, the lessons that still linger. I couldn't keep you close, yet I'll always be grateful too, because even though I lost your love, I found strength I never knew. I held on with everything I had, but some people aren't meant to stay. And sometimes loving someone means learning how to let them go. Love didn't disappear overnight, you let it fade. I remember when your eyes would light up when I walked in, back when forever felt easy and every day felt like a win. But slowly something shifted, something neither of us could hide. I kept reaching out for you while you drifted further inside. I was fighting for tomorrow while while you were giving up today. You let the love fade, one silence at a time, one missed chance to hold me, one promise left behind. You let the love fade while I try to keep the light, but one heart can't save a fire when the other stops the fight. I noticed all the small things, the way you'd look away, the conversations growing shorter, the warmth slipping away. I kept telling myself that we'd find our way somehow, but I was holding on to memories more than I was holding you now. The hardest truth to face is knowing love needs two. You let the love fade without saying a word, and the loudest heartbreak was everything unheard. You let the love fade and I couldn't stop the tide. No matter how hard I loved you, I couldn't make you stay inside. For so long I blamed myself, wondering what more I could have done. But love isn't measured by sacrifice when only one person keeps holding on. And now I understand the difference between fighting and letting go. And sometimes the strongest thing is accepting what you already know. I wasn't losing you in the end, I was losing you all along. You let the love fade, but you can't erase what we were. The memories still live inside me, even if your voice is just a blur. You let the love fade, and though it broke my heart apart, I'm learning how to rebuild myself from the pieces you left behind. Love didn't disappear overnight. You let it fade. Maybe that's why it hurts so much, because I watched it happen. The saddest part wasn't that we ended, it was that we stopped trying to stay. There was a time we'd fight for us, no matter what stood in the way. We'd find the words, we'd find the strength, we'd always find a reason to stay. But somewhere in the passing years, the effort slowly disappeared. We stopped reaching for each other and started living through the fear. No dramatic goodbye, just two hearts growing tired. We stopped trying to stay, one day at a time, one unanswered question, one warning sign. We stopped trying to stay, and love began to fall apart. Not because we stopped caring, but because we stopped guarding our hearts. The conversation conversations grew shorter. The laughter wasn't quite the same. We kept pretending everything was fine while quietly drifting away. I remember sitting beside you, feeling further than before. The distance wasn't in the room, it lived inside us more and more. Love doesn't always end in anger. Sometimes it ends in surrender. We stopped trying to stay, and silence filled the space where promises once lived and hope once showed its face. We stopped trying to stay, and neither one knew how to begin, because the hardest thing to fix is a love that's slowly wearing thin. Maybe we thought there'd be more time, more chances to make things right, but tomorrow kept becoming yesterday, and we lost another fight. Now I know that love needs tending, it needs courage every day, because even the strongest hearts can slowly fade away. We didn't lose each other overnight. We lost each other in the moments we stopped choosing us. We stopped trying to stay, but I'll always remember the good, the way you made me feel understood when nobody else could. We stopped trying to stay, and though it still brings tears, I'll carry the best parts of us through all my coming years. The saddest part wasn't that we ended, it was that we stopped trying to stay. And by the time we noticed, we were already gone. It didn't break loudly, it just stopped being hope. We were sitting in the same room, talking like we always did, but something felt different in every word we hid. No raised voices, no sharp goodbye, just a distance we couldn't name. Like two hearts still together, but never quite the same. I didn't notice it happening until it was already gone. It was the moment it fell apart quietly. No warning, no sound, no sign, just a slow disappearing of your hand from mine. It was the moment it fell apart quietly, while everything still looked the same. But love doesn't always break loudly, sometimes it forgets your name. We kept the routine going, like nothing was slipping away, smiling at the surface while the truth faded each day. I replay every small moment, searching for where we went wrong. But sometimes endings don't happen, they just take too long. The hardest kind of heartbreak is the one you don't feel right away. It was the moment it fell apart quietly, not in anger were so slowly drifting like dust in the rain. It was the moment it fell apart quietly, and I didn't even see that the version of us I loved was already history. Maybe we both knew it, but neither of us said a word, because silence is easier when the truth feels too absurd. And now I understand what I couldn't see before. Some love doesn't end with leaving, it just exists there anymore. I was still holding on to something that was already gone. It was the moment it fell apart quietly, and I'll never know when it began, but I still feel the echo of what we almost had. It was the moment it fell apart quietly, and though it hurts to understand, some endings don't break your heart loudly, they just slip through your hands. It didn't break loudly, it just stopped being whole. And that's what made it hurt the most. It ended long before I left, but I stayed anyway. You were already somewhere else, even when you held my hand. I could feel the distance growing in the places we once stood and planned. The conversations got quieter, the warmth began to fade, but I kept pretending nothing changed in the love we once made. I was holding on to echoes of someone you used to be. I stayed even when it was over, even when you weren't mine, even when your heart had left me long before you said goodbye. I stayed even when it was over, trying to fix what couldn't be. But some endings don't arrive loudly, they grow inside of me. I memorized your silence like it meant something still, like if I waited long enough, you'd come back against your will. But love can't live in waiting, it can't survive alone. And I was loving memories while you were already gone. Truth was always there, I just didn't want to see. I stayed even when it was over, breaking quietly inside, holding on to shadows where your love used to hide. I stayed even when it was over, and now I understand. free. Letting go was the moment I remembered me. I didn't lose you in one moment. I lost myself every time I stayed. Because loving you in silence was where my heart began to end. I stayed even when it was over, and though it broke me in two, it taught me how to walk away from the things I can't renew. It ended long before I left, but I stayed anyway. Now I know that's where the healing begins. I was the only one still holding on, while you were already letting go. I kept starting every conversation, trying to fix what broke inside, but you gave me silence in return. Every time I tried, I noticed how you stopped asking, stopped caring like before, like you were already halfway out before you reached the door. I was fighting for forever while you were losing interest in today. You didn't fight for us, not even once, not even twice, while I was giving everything just to keep us alive. You didn't fight for us, you just slowly walked away, and I stayed in the battlefield. You no longer chose to stay. I learned to read your distance in every quiet glance, in every broken moment. We never got the chance. I held on through the seasons, through every falling part, but I was the only one still trying to save a dying heart. Love shouldn't feel like war, but I was fighting alone. You didn't fight for us, you let it slip through your hands, while I was building bridges. You refused to stand, you didn't fight for us, and now I finally see you were already gone, while I was begging you to be with me. Maybe love needs two fighters, two hearts choosing the same fight, but I was standing in the dark alone, trying to turn wrong into right. And now I understand what I couldn't see before. Sometimes losing someone means they stopped fighting first, not more. I wasn't losing you, I was losing the version of us I believed in. You didn't fight for us, and that trust still cuts so deep, because I was awake in every battle while you were already asleep. and that's how I knew it was never a fair fight.